sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place, such a holy place. You are blessed peace, blessed peace is all that you are. You are blessed peace, blessed peace is all that you are. You are deepest joy is all that you are. You are deepest joy is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place, such a holy place. You are sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love is all that you are. Sacred love is all that you are. Sacred love is all that you are. My body, my soul are part of a perfect whole. My heart and my hands are serving a sacred plan. I know that it's true, I know that it comes down to you. I know that it's true, I know that I can rely on you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. My thoughts and my mind belong to eternal time. My words and my songs, you're writing them all along. I know that it's true when all that I am comes down to you. I know that it's true, I know that I can rely on you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you.
Beautiful way to open this morning. So welcome everybody. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living here in the heart of Las Cruces. where our vision is a world in loving partnership for the good of all. And thank you to our music team this morning. We have Sarah, Lilianne, and Kay. We're so grateful. Thank you. Very exciting. So I want to welcome anyone who is visiting for the first time and some people who are back we haven't seen for a while. Welcome back. There are visitor packets at both doors. If you are here for the first time, please help yourself to a packet. There's also a gift certificate in there to the bookstore, so don't forget to look in there. And also we have a website and newsletter that you can go to electronically to find out what else is going on here. And so be sure to check that out. We had our New Thought Luncheon this last week. We had quite a good turnout for that. It was fun. We will keep doing that each month, so look for the next one. We'll figure out the date here in a bit, and I'll let you know. And I also want to let you know that the chairs are set up the way they are because this afternoon at 3 o'clock is the Singing Out concert. They had it last night, and they'll have it this afternoon, the group that sang for us last week. So if you'd like to see the whole concert, please come back at a little before 3 so you can get your ticket and a seat. It was lovely, and it's very nice that we get to have them in our building. I'm grateful that they have found a home here in our space. At this time, please welcome our practitioner.
Good morning. I'm Judy Hunt. Nice to see you all. Here at the Center for Spiritual Living in the heart of Las Cruces, we believe in the power of prayer. You will find behind the seat in front of you a prayer request, and you can fill that out, and we have a wonderful circle of people that meet every week, ministers and practitioners from the 4 New Thought centers here in Las Cruces. We're very blessed with a lot of powerful prayer people. So put your request in the offering thought thing, or there's what's called a God can, which, I think that use just wherever you want to put it. Make sure I find it, I'll get it to the right people, and your request will be prayed on thoroughly. We also have on the back of the chairs in front of you gratitude statements. So we'd love to hear how spirit and prayer are working in your life. So let us know about any answered prayer, just things going well. We pray on that too. And we know that prayer amplifies everything we put under its attention, so it's all good. So, and after service, I'll be available up front for if there's any issue you'd like a prayer for right this afternoon. There's also a prayer button on our website, and that'll connect you with people that can pray with you as well. So there's no reason to leave here with any burdens. Just unload them now. This is the time. So now it's time for song, silence, and prayer.
In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world filled with chaos and noise. And I awake in these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world filled with chaos and noise. And I awake in these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence
feel the blessing and the gratitude and the love that is flowing around us through the miracle of spirit. Each of us is endowed with spirit expressing joy and peace and vitality, light, prosperity, wisdom. All of this is our true nature. We're here today to enjoy this rich atmosphere of love and blessing, to take home parts that will enrich us as we go along, things that will lift us up today and tomorrow. We know we're exactly where we need to be, want to be, and that this time is deeply blessed. And so it is. Our reading today comes from Ernest Holmes, but not the textbook, Living the Science of Mind. It's a good one too. They're all good. And it's on page 114. It is entitled, can anyone hear me okay?
Yep.
The title is The Silent One Within Us. We find this saying in the Upanishad. The silent one, the knower, ever resting in us, may walk, stand, sit, lie down, and not do anything at his sweet will. And in our Bible it says, I will work, and who shall hinder it? What are these but statements of the absoluteness of the Supreme as the all-conquering power of the Spirit? And this all-conquering power of the Spirit finds self-expression through man and woman. This Supreme Being is at the center of each one of us. To it we may come for guidance, and from it we may draw both inspiration and the power to live, stand, walk, or sit. Every act is an outcome of consciousness. Every movement is within the divine being. And since the divine being is everywhere, it must also be at the center of our own life. It is not only at the center of our own life, it is that center. Hence, to think of it as the very essence of our own being is clear thinking. To know that its being is our being is right knowing. And to declare that its life is our life is to permit its power to flow through us. And so it is.
You might think we'd have agreed on what we were singing prior to today. I'm going to ask Sarah to give me an E, and then I'm probably going to change the note. Yeah, I'm changing it. I look to the hills from whence cometh salvation. I find strength in their quiet roll. When I feel myself troubled, I look to those hills, and the quiet green quiets my soul. Oh, I never will leave my hills of salvation. You never will get me to roam. All the silver and gold that this world can hold is nothing compared to a home. Oh, there's some that say, take all you can from this world. It's dog eat dog from the start. But what good is your finery if in your last days you cannot find peace in your heart? Oh, I never will leave those hills of salvation. You never will get me to Rome. All the silver and gold that this world can hold is nothing compared to a home. There's power that comes from money and fear. Oh, what man can do? But the power that rests in those God-given hills is the power I know to be true. Oh, I never will leave those hills of salvation. You never will get me to Rome. All the silver and gold that this world can hold is nothing compared to a home. Oh, I never will leave my hills of salvation. You never will get me to Rome. All the silver and gold that this world can hold is nothing compared to a home.
Wow, 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 wow. That was beautiful. More energy. Thank you. That was so beautiful. I love the harmony. You all sound fabulous together, and it just made me think about the harmony that we have in our community. It represents who we are in each other's lives. It just felt beautiful. Thank you. That was absolutely beautiful. Well, the person that wanted the note and then changed it, this is our dear Lilianne. Lilianne Pilot is a practitioner here at the center, and she has spent most of her life as a spiritual seeker, and she is our speaker today as well as one of our musicians. She's an artist, writer, speaker, teacher, and musician. For 10 years, Lily was part of the CSL Music Ministry in Edmonton, Canada, and she earned her practitioner's license in 2012. She's also trained to use the use of sound and music in healing, was a licensed practical nurse, and a bunch of other things, all of which have informed her spiritual journey. She now runs a nature retreat and art gallery with her husband, Doug, and is happily nestled in the loving arms here in Las Cruces in the center. And we're so grateful to have her as a practitioner as well as a speaker and musician today. Welcome, Lilianne Pilot.
So my very first order of business when I got here today was to break a rule. My talk today is called Return to Form, and apparently it's called a Return to Form version 2 because I rewrote about half of it this morning before I got here. I'd like to share a bit of my journey with you, sort of the return to my own form after living in my brain, in the present, in the past, basically anywhere but in my body. Which is odd because that's where God lives, in and as and through me. So for those who live on the spectrum, being in the body can feel a bit tricky. There's a sensory awareness disorder which basically creates an acute awareness of every single sensation. Every feeling in the body is magnified, and after a lot of injuries over the years, it just got really uncomfortable in here. Now, a popular idea is that the ancient name for God, Yahweh is the closest that I think we can get to it, is actually encoded in our DNA. Can everybody hear me okay? Is this all right? In other words, the letters that make up the DNA alphabet
supposedly spell out this ancient, unpronounceable name for God. And it was a fun idea to play with. I did a bit of research about it. But in the end, I found conflicting ideas. True or not, it didn't change anything for me. God is all there is, and none beside. God is here and there and everywhere. God is here. And in fact, the only way that I can really commune and hear the still, small voice is to still my mind and go within, which in turn allows me to expand without and experience a greater sense of self and connection with the world around me. It's kind of like the way the characters in Star Trek go in the transporter and they beam themselves off the ship. The density of their form just disintegrates into millions of particles and then they disappear. Every mystical experience that I've ever had has triggered a really profound physical sense of losing the boundaries of my own form and spreading out and mingling with infinity. It's really cool when it happens. I didn't actually start out with a very good sense of self. I kind of thought I was invisible, and I wanted to be invisible. But the steady progression in my life from out there to in here has increasingly given me permission to be myself, to be more vibrant, not someone else's version of me, not bound by rules and beliefs that I don't even share, not constrained by a choking fear of what other people would think. And although none of those things were happening in like an overtly conscious level, they were nonetheless happening and ruling my life. So as I've moved from out there to in here, I found that form is not a mini container I don't want to be in, but rather an expansive universe I've only just begun to explore. So I'm finding new ways to explore that. I have this new hammock chair. It's really cool. You sit in it like a little nest, and it's got a separate hanging thing for the feet. And I hung it just in a little open area under some trees, and we've got a little tiny water feature running through there. I'm just all surrounded by trees and bushes, and there's a couple of little spots I can see mountains in the distance poking through, and then the odd bit of sky, showing up through the branches. It might be the best present I've ever bought myself. So my mind has been pretty busy lately, and this respite in my new nest was exactly what I needed. So here I am, swaying in the gentle evening breeze. And there's the faint tinkle of trickling water nearby, and the distant roar of the wind in the trees. But up close and personal, there was this constant music playing in my head. I call it circus music because it's like really busy. It's been playing a lot lately, but in that moment, rocking in my nest, it really stood out. And instinctively, I just dropped my awareness down into my body, and I started focusing on my breathing. And then I became aware of the vibration or energy of this circus music, and it was in my body. So I went into the master soundboard and I dialed down the activity, and as little tiny muscle groups began to relax, I realized the music in my head had stopped. And all I could hear was the water and the wind. And this was actually quite a revelation because I'd always thought the tension in my body was coming from the busyness in my mind. And since that's always been problematic, I've just become accustomed to a general level of tension in my body. This is the first time I consciously noticed the correlation between inviting my body to relax and finding that my mind followed. It's not the first time it happened, it's the first time I noticed it so acutely. And I remembered an experience I had riding a horse with this incredible woman in Costa Rica using the principles of liberty training. And it's really cool. It involves a whole different communication with the animal and with yourself. When I wanted to go forward, I just had to raise myself up straight and consciously bring the energy up in my body, and the horse would begin to walk. And if I wanted to trot, and if I wanted to canter, and when you wanted to stop, you just go, bring the elevator all the way back down to the bottom, and the horse just stopped. That was it. No heels, no nothing. It was awesome. And I've tried this actually with excitable dogs, and it works pretty well. But I have to realize that what I'm really doing is calming the chatter in me. I'm calming the chatter in my body, and that's what the animals are responding to. When we talk about paying attention to what's going on in the mind as it affects the outer world, and so it does, but it was really interesting to realize that my mind was taking directions from my body. Years ago, after what I now refer to as the scooter incident, I was taken to emergency, and they knocked me out with ketamine to scrape the gravel out of my butt. And as the drug took hold in my system, I suddenly felt like I was in this shiny stainless steel tube, and I was moving really fast, and it was like all the noise of the whole hospital was in, maybe the whole world was in that tube. And I remember saying, I don't like this. But then this voice said, what don't you like? And I realized I wasn't the feeling, I was the observer of the feeling. And then just as I realized that, I thought, well, in order to know that, there has to be an observer of the observer, or I couldn't know that an observer just said, I'm not the feeling. And just as I started to try and unravel that, I kind of flew out into the darkness for a while. But when I came back, something had really changed, because I knew that there was something beyond the me that I live with, and it was in me, and I was pretty sure it was God. So maybe that's really meant by, with God as my witness. Do we listen to our bodies? Do we treat ourselves as the vessel in which God is expressing itself? And do we even understand what that means? That's what the unraveling is for me. I've had a lifelong knack for having huge revelations and then sweeping them into the nearest corner. I call that the great forgetting. The great forgetting. And I suspect, and I have for a long time, that babies, while still in the womb, absolutely know they are divine. They're literally swimming in God. And then all of a sudden, bam, they go through this dreadful constriction, and they pop out into this bright and noisy environment. And from that moment on, the world tries to tell them they are separate from God, when all that has really happened is that a non-form has undergone a change from one state to another. And then, because of the physical senses and living in a world full of diverse belief systems, there appears to be a lot of evidence to support this notion of separation. I'm a body over here, there's a window over there, there's your body over there, sitting in a wooden chair. But life gives us opportunities to remember. There's a study of the effect of sound and vibration on matter. It's called Cymatics. And they can take, for example, little particles of solids like silica sand or something, and they put it on a flat metal plate, and they introduce vibrations or frequencies into it, and the sand will form itself into very specific patterns. These patterns are replicable and duplicable. You do this frequency, this happens. You do that frequency, that happens. It's very cool. But it also gives a very, very powerful sense when you watch this of the effect of vibration upon matter, which is a constantly changing landscape, and we're part of that landscape. The essence of God is a vibration. We're part of the world of form, but we're animated by consciousness. All this and quite a lot more washed through me while I'm still in my chair, while I was swaying in my hanging chair, and the sky was growing dark around me, and my body did that disintegrate the boundaries of form thing, and I just melted into the darkness. And there really was no separation between me and any of it. I experienced a deep sense of oneness with the vastness of life. A big part of my journey has been to try and grow a relationship with prayer. And interestingly enough to me, because I did not grow up in a Christian household, with the Lord's Prayer. But it's kept coming up for me. It's ended up being sort of a bridge for me to grow a fuller relationship with my Christed self. But looking at the King James version of the Lord's Prayer versus the Aramaic, there are pretty vast differences in interpretation. The King James version came up through the languages dominated by the patriarchy, and so it tends to be a bit more rigid and masculine. But the Aramaic, the first language that it was written in, or that it was recorded in, we see God as Mother, Father God, the creator of all, the life force and substance of us. As Holmes put it, God is the androgynous principle, the father and mother of all. So years ago in India, I had an elevated experience, which I know I've shared before, but very briefly, the people I was traveling with all went to see the Taj Mahal. I couldn't go because I was really, seriously, really ill. And I lay in a hotel room thousands of miles from home. I was sick, I was scared, and really on the verge of being poured onto a plane and flown home. And for lack of a better idea, I just started reciting the Lord's Prayer for 5 hours. And I had a God experience. It began to make sense, but it was beyond words. It was beyond the language of the patriarchy. It was beyond the framework of the Christian dogma, and it was really, really powerful. And I woke up the next morning well enough to actually go to the Taj Mahal myself, and 2 days later I left for a 9-day trek in the Himalayas. When we allow God to act upon the form, miracles can happen. But that's the tricky part, maybe the allowing. So I found a book called Prayers for the Cosmos by Neil Douglas Klotz, and it all made more sense. He translated the Lord's Prayer straight from Aramaic, he was an Aramaic scholar, to English, sort of circumventing the linear languages of Greek and Latin to get there. And I know I've spoken of this before, again, but the Aramaic language has several layers that have to be like a metaphorical and a literal and a contextual layer, and they all have to be woven together to understand fully the depth of what's being said. So for example, Our Father who art in heaven becomes, O Father, Mother, birther of the cosmos. It's a little different, right? Here's a nationally syndicated columnist, Suzette Martinez Standring, and she said, unexpectedly, during a group meditation, I heard the Our Father in original Aramaic, and it resonated in my body like a deep physical blessing. And I wondered, is this how it sounded from Jesus' lips 2,000 years ago? An English translation was given that barely resembled the Lord's Prayer we know today, and I had to find out more. And that's exactly how I felt. Prayers for the Cosmos gave me the tools I needed to understand the prayer in a way that resonated for me, but over time I still felt like something was missing. I had traded the liturgical language of the King James Version for a more flowery version, but it was still a stepping stone to understanding the prayer, the intent of the prayer in my own words. O Father, Mother God, who lives in this heaven, this place of wonder in which we all reside, hallowed be thy name, that sound which is given to call out to source, the name for all that is and which is alive in and as me. Thy kingdom is my kingdom, thy will is my will, in this earthly heaven. As within, so without, I recognize that God is in me, expressing as me in a vessel that looks like me, and a vessel that looks like you, and a vessel that looks like you. I don't know if you've heard of Paul Selig, whose work is said to be a direct channel from guides. And I quote them as saying, to see or know the inherent divine in others claims them in the higher field. We are not the ones who fix, we are the ones who realize. And it's a perfect example of affirmative prayer work. We are not the ones who fix, we are the ones who realize the truth. Give us this day our daily bread is not a request, it's an acknowledgement. God is the source of all supply. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And that's a fun one. It's about a force field of realignment. It's a God state. I find as I've tried to do forgiveness work for those little infractions which annoy us all, in order to get there in the past, I've had to create a kind of story around it. Oh, they were going through stuff, and that's probably why they did that. And, well, forgiveness doesn't need a story. It's simply a divine state. It's an energy field of love, of truth, principle, all synonyms for God. Those synonyms and more come down through the Mary Baker Eddy teaching in Christian Science, but I believe there are many of them. Any word that describes the purest state, and which would be capitalized because it represents God, represents the divine. God, beauty, life, mind, spirit. These are all synonyms for God. Lead us not into temptation. Anybody here ever tempted by anything that they think is probably not going to be good for them? I realized a long time ago that one of my temptations is to get all in and gooey with all the stuff that's going on in the world. There's a couple of things hit the news in the last couple of days that have a whole bunch of us pretty jacked up. But to get involved in the appearance, because that's where the drama is, and everybody knows drama is more fun, except it isn't. But the reality is that it pulls me away or out of the awareness of God being, and it catapults me into this realm of emotion and fear, expectation, judgment, all fun stuff. Lead us not into temptation. How do I stay with the truth of my being and just stay there? I can observe what's going on, but how do I stay with the truth of my being? Deliver us from evil. What is evil? I used to sort of think, well, nothing is really evil because God is all there is and none beside. But we still have free will. I think, if anything, it's an energy field that would attempt to derail the relationship with Source. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory. You, God, acting upon me and within me, are the kingdom. Out of you, the queen and kingship, the ruling principles, the I can of the cosmos, forever and ever across all space and time, in a vastness beyond my imagination. Truly, let it be so. So this is some of the language that helped me find the father and mother of all within. And the bottom line is our practice has to be one that makes sense to us. Our relationship, I mean, this has been part of my path with prayer, and to build that relationship with the physical self, the internal self, and the etheric self. But it might not be your path, but these are some of the things that help me. Our relationship has to make sense to us because it starts in our own body, the divine manifestation that is each and every one of us. Everything we do on earth, we do in this body. We do it because we have a body, and we're only able to do it because we have a body. And all of this came together with another concept that has been percolating in me for a while. Every cell in my body is from the original cell. It's pure, whole, perfect, and divine. And at the heart of every cell in my body is a nucleus, which contains two extremely important things: the quantum and the information required to duplicate itself. Love and the law. The quantum is a space that cannot be described in any way. It exists at the frequency of what we call light. It is light. We image light as the light, glowing white force. But it's just one of the ways we perceive it. We also perceive it as love and awe and wonder, more synonyms for God. This energy field exists within the nucleus of every cell in your body. It is entwined with the DNA. This is how form and spirit merge, law and love. When we marry our perception of light, love, wonder with that quantum space, then we step into our divine nature. And in this place, we can move freely in the field of all possibility. This is where we create. And to ready ourselves, we have the assistance of mind and imagination. We visualize, we practice presence, we enter the now, that pristine moment in which we become part of the field of all possibility. And when we have realization, when we know love lives within, then we may care for that love, care for the quantum, and the quantum cares for us. I don't have anything that exists outside of that. So I invite you to join me in the knowing that there is only the one expressing itself as all of life, blossoming from the original cell, pure, whole, perfect, and divine. And at the heart of every cell in my body is a brilliant, blazing, infinite light, and that light does not have boundaries. It beams from the nucleus, beams through the cell, beams beyond the walls of the cell, joins hands with itself, beaming from every other cell, and emanates from our bodies. I am light being. I literally glow in the dark. So brightly, it leaks out of my pores and surrounds me with a beautiful halo. It's the truth of me. It's the essence of me. It is holding me, caring for me, protecting me. And it holds the truth of my being regardless of any other appearance, because I am light being. I'm the wholeness and fullness of all potential, all good, and all love. So with great gratitude, I do release these words into the plasticine nature of the law, the love and the law in a cosmic dance, hand in hand with all of life. And so it is. Cheers.
As I went down to the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down to the river to pray. As I went down to the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, brothers, let's go down, come on down. Oh, brothers, let's go down to the river to pray. As I went down to the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, seekers, let's go down, come on down. Oh, seekers, let's go down to the river to pray. Oh, brothers, let's go down let's go down, come on down. Oh, brothers, let's go down, down to the river to pray. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down, down to the river to pray.
Wasn't that an example of the vibration just giving you chills in your own body? Did you feel it? I'm just like, thank you so much. Again, another hand for this beautiful trio that we had here today. Thank you so much. Wow, that just, I've got chills. So at this time, we acknowledge the fact that we are a tithing community, and we are so grateful to all that comes into the center. We're grateful that we have stayed thriving throughout this pandemic, where some centers have actually closed. I'm sorry that yours did. And we're grateful that we are still a community. We've been able to come back together, that we have a lot of activities in this building. So there's a lot to be grateful for. And 10% of all that's coming through this center this month is going to Casa de Peregrinos, whose mission it is to end hunger while mobilizing resources that build strong, diverse, and inclusive relationships and partnerships in the community. And so we are always looking for places that are in alignment with what it is that we teach and who we are in the community, so we can support them with our tithe back out into the community. So we're exceedingly grateful for this time. And so as you leave the center, there are bowls that you can place your offering in, and just know 10% of that is going to Casa de Peregrinos. So at this time, let's sing together. Oh, we'll first say this together. Our divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, in me. And after talking about the body this month, that thank you, God, in me hopefully makes a lot more sense and is something that is resonating. So now we will sing I Am So Blessed.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed.
I hope you feel as blessed as I do. Again, what a beautiful morning. Thank you again, Lilianne, for your talk, your words. They resonated with me. I'm so grateful, and I'm sure they resonated with everyone in some way. And for the music, thank you again. Absolutely beautiful. So let us stand, and we can surround this room as you are comfortable and sing our peace song. Or I release, maybe. Or something else? Are we doing something else?
We're doing I release.
I release, yes. Let's do that one.
Okay. But you can think about peace while we sing it.
Right.
There was a time in my life thought I'd have to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. Now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go. Let it all go. And this is what we have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm holding here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm holding here for God. Oh, I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm holding here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.